Let's get down to business. All right, everyone, welcome to today's presentation, Un-Bee-Lievable Misconceptions, what we get wrong about saving the bees. Now, bees are the unsung heroes of the natural world, and today we're going to dive deep into their importance, their struggles, and misunderstandings that may lead us astray when we think about saving them. Buckle up because it's going to be a hive of activity with facts and some buzzworthy discussions. Meet the native bees. North America is home to more than 4,000 native bee species. Yes, 4,000. That includes bumblebees, mason bees, carpenter bees, and many others. These little guys often work alone, nesting in the ground or inside hollow stems, and they're absolute rock stars when it comes to pollinating native plants. Sadly, these bees don't get the spotlight they deserve, and their populations are declining due to habitat destruction, pesticides, and climate change. Imagine losing these vital pollinators. It would be like losing the supporting cast in a blockbuster movie. It just wouldn't work. All right, Space Rangers, it's time for a game of Bee Fact or Buzzkill. You'll see 3 statements on the screen. Your job is to decide whether each statement is bee fact, which is true, or a buzzkill, which is false. As you read each statement, come up with a decision on whether you think each is true or false. Ready? Let's go. Statement number 1. Honeybees are the only pollinators that matter. Sounds important, but is it true? Buzzkill. While honeybees play a role in pollinating many crops, they're not the only important pollinators. Native bees, like bumblebees and mason bees, are actually crucial for maintaining ecosystems. Statement number 2. Honeybees are native to North America. What do you think? Buzzkill again. Honeybees were introduced to North America by European settlers. The real OG pollinators here are the native bees that have been thriving on this land for thousands of years. And finally, statement number 3. Native bees include species like bumblebees and mason bees. True or false? Bee fact. North America is home to over 4,000 native bee species, including some of the best pollinators in the business. Without them, many plants wouldn't be able to reproduce as effectively. Now, let's break it down. For statement number 1, honeybees might be the celebrities of the bee world, but native bees do just as much, if not more, when it comes to pollination. In fact, some plants can only be pollinated by native bees. For statement number 2, it's important to remember that honeybees were brought over by European settlers. While they help with agricultural pollination, native bees are the real MVPs when it comes to supporting natural biodiversity. And finally, statement number 3 is 100% true. Native bees include bumblebees, mason bees, and many others. Fun fact, some native bees don't even make honey. Instead, they focus on pollinating plants, ensuring flowers, fruits, and crops can grow. So, how did you do? Whether you got them all right or learned something new, the key takeaway is that saving the bees isn't just about honeybees. It's about protecting all pollinators.
Every year, we see dozens of alarming headlines that highlight the decline of honeybees within the US. They usually emphasize the collapsing colonies, some struggling beekeepers, and some potential threats to farming. As we see on the right hand side, with the image and the headline, that the bee decline a great concern for U.S. food security. This was made August 6th of 2020, and in the image it shows a regular European honeybee, which, although they are important, they're only responsible for about $15 million worth of produce every year, where the native bees within the US are responsible for about more or less $3 billion worth of produce. These aren't the most important, and actually, their population has more or less evened out or increased throughout the US. Let's see actually what happens when we don't acknowledge the native honeybees in some of our states. Let's watch the next video. As we just saw, one of the main reasons for population decline is agriculture. The main reason why we have these bees is for the same thing, for agriculture. But in states like Iowa and Illinois, they have lost about 99% of their natural grassland bee, which would have helped pollinate this new agriculture that has been laid over their natural habitat. Instead, these native bees, have had to go away. Most of them have died. They've moved over to other states. Stuff like that has happened. They would have helped pollinate this new agriculture, but instead, usually they're replaced with European honeybees because they're the most domesticated type of bee. Lastly, what can we actually do? Although we can't control the use of pesticides ourselves, there's a lot that we can actually do. We can look for bills or acts throughout Congress that can help reduce the amount of pesticides that is introduced into our food or that is actually used in farmland. We can help introduce bees back into our environment by use of native plants and native flowers. Here within Florida, we don't have much of the Everglades left, and that is where most of our native bee population has stayed at. We can use some native flowers back into the cities, some native plants back into the cities as well. And we can also keep doing our part in seeing what lawmakers are trying to do to keep these native pollinators alive. And although these native bees aren't the main spotlight of most of the news that we see about bees, they are the most important part of the pollinators that we have all around.